6 months had passed since the day the alien ships appeared over Earth. The morning sun shone brightly on the newly rebuilt Riverside Children's Hospital in Denver. The building looked different now, a blend of human and alien architecture, with flowing curves and special healing rooms filled with soft blue light. Dr. Samantha Wells walked through the main entrance, smiling at the sign above the door. Earth Kralvor Center for Genetic Medicine. She still found it amazing how much had changed. After the initial agreement in the hospital boardroom, the aliens had withdrawn their forces worldwide. For 3 tense weeks, their ships remained in orbit while world leaders and alien representatives worked out the details of cooperation. In the end, a historic treaty was signed. The aliens, who called themselves the Kralvor, would share their advanced technology. In return, humans would help them solve their genetic crisis. Dr. Wells now headed the Xenogenetics department, where human doctors worked alongside Kralvor scientists. Today was special. The first group of ambassador children was graduating from their training program. In the main hall, families gathered for the ceremony. Kyle and Olivia Martinez sat proudly in the front row. Their daughter Sophia, now in remission from leukemia, was one of the graduates. Ethan Garcia waited nervously backstage. At 13, he was the youngest human ever to present at an interspecies medical conference. His kidney disease was now being treated with Kralvor healing technology, and he was thriving. 8-year-old Lucy Adams stood beside him, holding her stuffed rabbit. The toy had become famous. Images of Lucy offering it to the alien had been seen around the world. Now she served as a special link between human and alien children, her unique sensitivity helping bridge communication gaps. The ceremony began with music, a new composition created by human and Kralvor musicians working together. The sounds were strange but beautiful, blending children's song patterns with alien harmonies. A tall Kralvor entered the stage. This was Zextal, once the commander who had ordered the hospital attack, now the chief diplomatic liaison. Beside him stood Colonel Nguyen, who had been promoted to general after the crisis. 6 months ago, we came to your world as invaders, Zextal said through his translator. We saw your children as genetic material to harvest. We did not understand what they truly were, the best of your species, full of courage and hope. Zextal turned to the children seated on stage. You have taught us much, not just about human genetics, but about human spirit. Sofia Martinez stepped forward. She had spent weeks on the Kralvor ship, helping alien scientists understand how her body had fought cancer with the help of human medicine. When the aliens first came, everyone was scared, she said simply. But my mom always told me that understanding is stronger than fear. Now we're not afraid of each other anymore. One by one, the ambassador children received special badges, designed by Lucy, showing Earth and the Kralvor homeworld connected by a bridge. The most emotional moment came when a Kralvor female entered carrying a small alien child. This was the first Kralvor youngster born without genetic defects in over 50 years, thanks to treatments developed with human genetic research. Dr. Wells watched with tears in her eyes. The attack on the children's hospital, meant to be humanity's darkest hour, had somehow become the beginning of something extraordinary. Outside the hospital, a garden had been planted. Children, both human and alien, played together among flowers from both worlds. Above a small fountain hung a plaque with words in both languages. From the courage of children facing their greatest fears came the strength to build a future without fear. Lucy Adams stood by the fountain after the ceremony, watching alien children examine earth flowers with wonder. One small Kralvor child approached her shyly and held out a strange glowing object, a toy from its world. Lucy smiled and accepted the gift. Then she held out Floppy, her beloved rabbit. Want to trade for a while? She asked. The alien child made a sound like gentle bells, the Kralvor expression of joy. It carefully took the rabbit and handed Lucy its toy. Two children from different stars, sharing treasures and friendship. The true healing had begun. The massive ship hovered silently above Earth. For 3 months, the Vilaxian vessel Eternal Seeker had observed the blue planet, collecting data and studying its inhabitants from a hidden position behind the moon. Commander Zix Tor stood at the observation deck, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he watched the continents drift by. Fascinating creatures, these humans, he said to his science officer Nevelur. They build such beautiful structures and create moving art. Nevelur nodded, her skin shifting to a thoughtful blue shade. Their broadcasts show a species that values peace and cooperation. Their leaders speak of unity and working together. The Vilaxians had intercepted thousands of television signals, radio broadcasts, and internet communications. They had learned the humans' languages and studied their customs. What they found impressed them. Stories of heroism, sacrifice, and love. The council back home had approved first contact. After centuries of searching, they had finally found another intelligent species worthy of joining the galactic community. The landing site is selected, reported Security Chief Krivos as he entered the chamber. A small town called Pine Ridge in the mountains of a region called Colorado. Population small enough to manage, isolated enough to avoid mass panic. Zix Tor nodded. Prepare the landing craft. We make contact tomorrow. Frank Miller liked to hike early. At 53, he found peace in the mountain trails before other hikers disturbed the quiet. The morning air was crisp as he climbed the ridge overlooking Pine Ridge. The town below was just waking up, lights turning on in scattered houses. Frank stopped to drink water from his bottle. That's when he noticed the strange light in the sky. At first, he thought it was the sun reflecting off an airplane. But the light grew larger, moving in ways no airplane could. What the hell? He whispered as the light descended, revealing a smooth oval shape at least 100 feet across. It made no sound as it lowered into the clearing half a mile ahead. Frank's heart raced. He should run, call someone. But curiosity rooted him to the spot. Slowly, he moved closer, hiding behind trees as he approached. The ship, because what else could it be, hovered a few feet above the ground. A section of its metallic surface suddenly became transparent, and figures moved inside. Frank held his breath as a ramp extended to the ground. The beings that walked out weren't what Frank expected aliens to look like. They stood upright on 2 legs, with 4 arms, and smooth, color-changing skin. Their heads housed 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. There were 5 of them, dressed in fitted suits that seemed to flow like liquid. Frank accidentally stepped on a branch. The snap echoed through the clearing. All 4 eyes on each alien turned toward him. Frank froze. His mind raced with conflicting thoughts. Fear, wonder, the question of whether to run or approach. A lifetime of science fiction movies had not prepared him for this moment. The lead alien stepped forward, raising its upper right hand in what seemed like a peaceful gesture. "We bring greetings from the Vilaxian Cooperative," it said in perfect English. "Please do not be frightened." Frank stepped out from behind the tree. How do you speak our language?" "We have been listening," said the alien. "I am Commander Zix Tor. We wish to establish friendly relations with your species." The alien's skin shifted through colors as it spoke. Blue, purple, gold. Frank noticed the other aliens watching him with intense focus. "I'm Frank," he said simply, his mind still struggling to process what was happening. "Frank Miller." As Frank cautiously approached, he felt a strange sensation, as if something was gently touching his mind. The aliens looked at each other with expressions Frank couldn't read. "Your thoughts," said Zix Tor, sounding confused. "They do not match your words. You speak of peace but think of danger. How is this possible?" Frank didn't understand. "I'm trying to be polite, but yeah, I'm scared. Wouldn't you be?" The aliens conferred in their language, a series of melodic whistles and clicks. They seemed troubled. "We should speak with your leaders," Zix Tor finally said. "There is much we do not understand about humans." Frank nodded, pulling out his phone with shaking hands. I'll make some calls. But this is going to change everything. You know that, right? The alien commander's skin turned a deep purple. Yes, for both our worlds. Word spread quickly. By noon, the small town of Pine Ridge was surrounded by military vehicles, news vans, and curious onlookers. A hastily assembled diplomatic team arrived from Washington, D.C., led by Dr. Lisa Hammond, the nation's leading expert in linguistics and communication theory. The town's community center became the meeting place. Lisa watched as the aliens entered the building, their skin shifting between shades of blue and green. They moved with grace despite their unusual four-armed bodies. "Welcome to Earth," Lisa said, stepping forward with an extended hand. "I'm Dr. Lisa Hammond. I'll be leading our diplomatic team." Commander Zixtar looked at her hand curiously before extending his lower right arm. "Your greeting custom. We have studied it." His skin rippled with gold flecks as they shook hands. Behind Lisa, Security Officer Ryan Blackwell kept his hand near the gun hidden under his jacket. He didn't trust these aliens, no matter how peaceful they claimed to be. 20 years in military intelligence had taught him that appearances were often deceiving. The meeting room had been arranged with a large round table. The Valaxians sat on one side, the human team on the other. Translator devices were set up, though the aliens seemed to understand English perfectly well. "We wish to share knowledge and technology," Zixtar said. "Our people believe in open exchange between species." Lisa nodded. "We're very interested in learning about your civilization." "We have brought gifts," said Nevlur, placing a small metallic cube on the table. With a wave of her hand, the cube projected a three-dimensional star map into the air. "Star charts of systems we have visited. And this." She placed a second device on the table. "A medical scanner that can detect diseases before symptoms appear." Ryan's eyes narrowed. These gifts seemed too generous. In his experience, no one gave away valuable technology without expecting something bigger in return. "What do you want from us?" Ryan asked abruptly. Lisa shot him a warning glance, but Zixtar seemed untroubled by the question. "We seek friendship and exchange of ideas. Your species is unique in many ways. Your art, your music, they contain emotional depths we find fascinating." As the meeting continued, Nevlur began to look increasingly troubled. She whispered to Zixtar, her skin turning a deep purple. "Is something wrong?" Lisa asked. Zixtar hesitated. "We are confused. Your thoughts and words do not always align. This Ryan thinks we are dangerous, yet speaks polite words. You worry about saying the wrong thing while assuring us of trust. How is this possible?" The room fell silent. Lisa looked uncomfortable. "You can read our thoughts." "Not exactly," Nevlur explained. "Our species communicates partially through telepathic impression. We sense emotional states and surface thoughts naturally. But humans, your surface thoughts often contradict your spoken words. We have never encountered this." Ryan stood up. "You're reading our minds without permission. That's a violation of privacy." Zixtar's skin paled. "We cannot help it, just as you cannot help hearing sounds. It is how we communicate." Later that evening, the Valaxian scientists gathered in their ship to discuss their findings. "It's remarkable," Nevlur said, analyzing brain scans they had collected. "Humans have evolved a cognitive ability to compartmentalize truth and fabrication. They can know one thing is true, yet communicate something different." "Is it a defect?" asked Kruvos. "I don't think so," Nevlur replied. "It appears to be an adaptation. They call it lying when used to deceive, but they also call it imagination or fiction when used to create stories. Their entire civilization is built on this ability." Commander Zixtar looked troubled. "A species that can deliberately communicate false information. Is this safe?" "Our reports to the Council described humans as peaceful, based on their public broadcasts." "Those broadcasts were carefully created," Nevlur said. "I need to study their actual history, not just what they choose to show." Outside the ship, hidden in trees nearby. Olivia Carter from Military Intelligence used a high-powered microphone to listen. She couldn't understand the aliens' language, but their concerned tones were clear. She activated her secure phone. "General," she whispered, "I think we've identified a weakness. These aliens, they can't seem to lie or understand deception. This changes everything." Neville sat alone in the research chamber of the Vilaxian ship, her 4 eyes fixed on the screens before her. For days, she had been studying human history. What she found disturbed her deeply. Wars, genocide, slavery, environmental destruction. The screens showed images of concentration camps, atomic bombs, oceans filled with plastic, and forests burning. Humanity's story was not the peaceful narrative the Vilaxians had first believed. It was a history written in blood and tears. How can they create such beautiful art yet cause such suffering? She whispered to herself, her skin turning a dark gray of distress. The door slid open, and Commander Zixtar entered. "You've been here for 3 days," he said. "What have you learned?" Neville gestured to the screens. "They hide their true nature from us. Their recorded history shows a species capable of terrible violence and cruelty. Yet they are also capable of great kindness and sacrifice." She played a video showing a human running into a burning building to save a child. "They contain opposite extremes we cannot understand." Zixtar's skin paled. "I must report this to the Council. If humans can deliberately hide information and intentions, it makes them dangerous." Neville finished. "But also fascinating. Their ability to imagine what is not real allows them to create art and music that moves even our hearts." At the same time, in a secure facility 10 miles away, Olivia Carter presented her findings to General Peter Donovan and a room of military officers. "The Vilaxians are telepathic, but in a limited way," she explained, pointing to diagrams on a screen. "They sense emotions and surface thoughts, but cannot dig deeper. More importantly, they seem incapable of understanding deliberate deception." "Meaning what?" asked General Donovan. "Meaning they don't understand lying. Their species evolved without the concept. When they detect our thoughts don't match our words, they get confused. They can't process it." Ryan Blackwell, sitting at the back of the room, leaned forward. "So they're naive, like children." "Exactly," Olivia nodded. "And they have technology far beyond ours. Medical devices, energy systems, space travel capabilities we can only dream of. Technology they're willing to share openly." General Donovan stood up, pacing slowly. "So what you're saying is, they wouldn't see a betrayal coming?" "Sir." Lisa Hammond, who had been quietly taking notes, looked up in alarm. "Just thinking out loud, Doctor," the general said smoothly. "But we need to consider all angles. National security requires we understand both diplomatic opportunities and potential threats." Later that evening, Lisa met with Jack Russell, an engineer who had been studying the Vilaxian medical device. "This technology is amazing," Jack said, carefully examining the scanner. "It could save millions of lives. And they're just giving it to us." Lisa looked troubled. "I'm worried about the military's interest. Some of the questions they're asking, they're not about cooperation." Jack nodded slowly. "I've noticed that too. The way they're cataloging Vilaxian technology, it feels like they're making a shopping list." Back on the Vilaxian ship, Commander Zixtar was in communication with the Council on their homeworld. "Honored Council, I must report concerns about the human species," he said, his skin shifting to formal purple bands. "They possess a cognitive ability unknown to us. The ability to knowingly communicate false information. This makes their intentions difficult to interpret." The council members' images flickered on the screen, their expressions grave. "Is this ability used for harm?" asked the lead elder. "It can be," Zixtar replied. "Their history contains great violence enabled by deception, but they also use this ability for creation and art." "Your recommendation, Commander?" Zixtar hesitated only briefly. I believe we should withdraw from Earth until we better understand the species. Their unpredictability makes them potentially dangerous. Outside the ship, hidden listening devices captured every word. In his office, General Donovan received the translation. "They're getting cold feet," he told his team. "We need to move quickly. Prepare the operation for tomorrow night." The cultural exchange event was set up in the town square of Pine Ridge. Tables filled with food and drinks lined the edges of the space. Local musicians played soft music as townspeople mingled with the diplomatic team and their alien visitors. Children watched in wonder as the Valaxians demonstrated small technological wonders, floating lights and small objects that changed shape when touched. Dr. Lisa Hammond noticed something was wrong almost immediately. There were too many military personnel present, dressed as waiters and guests. She spotted Ryan Blackwell talking quietly into his sleeve microphone. "Jack," she whispered to the engineer standing beside her. "Something's happening." Jack Russell nodded slightly. He had noticed it too. The food for the aliens. I saw them adding something to it in the kitchen. Lisa's heart raced. She needed to warn Commander Zixtar, but two security officers stood between her and the alien delegation. Across the square, General Donovan smiled and raised his glass. "A toast," he called out, "to new friendships and shared knowledge." Everyone raised their glasses, including the Valaxians who had been given special drinks in containers designed for their four-handed grip. The alien skin shifted to bright colors of pleasure as they joined in this human custom. Lisa tried to move toward them, but felt a firm hand on her arm. "Stay where you are, Dr. Hammond," said a stern-faced woman in a dark suit. "National security matter." "This is wrong," Lisa hissed. "They came in peace. They're leaving. We're just ensuring they leave us some parting gifts," the woman replied coldly. Around the square, the 5 Vilaxian visitors began to show signs of distress. Their skin colors dulled and shifted in strange patterns. Neveler stumbled, her forelegs suddenly unsteady. "What is happening?" Zixtar asked, his voice slurred. "I feel strange." "Just a mild sedative," General Donovan said, stepping forward. "Nothing harmful. We just need you to cooperate while we secure some technology exchanges." Security teams moved in, surrounding the disoriented aliens. Military personnel began unfolding containment units designed to hold the Valaxians. "You deceived us," Zixtar said, his voice filled with confusion and pain that went beyond physical discomfort. "You planned this while speaking of friendship." Jack saw his chance in the confusion. He slipped away from his watchers and moved toward the side of the square, where Neveler was struggling to stay standing. "This way," he whispered, taking her arm. "I can help you." Lisa tried to follow but was grabbed by 2 security officers. "You're interfering with a national security operation, Dr. Hammond," one said as they pulled her away. "You'll be detained until this is complete." Jack led Neveler through a narrow passage between buildings. Behind them, he could hear shouts as the military realized some of the aliens were escaping. "Why?" Neveler asked, her voice weak. "Why would humans do this?" "Not all humans," Jack said grimly. "Some of us want real friendship. Others just want your technology." Across town, the Vilaxian ship received the emergency signal from their commander's suit. The crew watched in horror through security feeds as their team was captured. They activated defense protocols, sealing the ship and sending an emergency message to the Vilaxian homeworld. "The humans have betrayed the diplomatic team," the message stated. "They are using chemical agents and physical restraints. Request immediate assistance." In a military holding cell, Commander Zixtar and 2 other captured Vilaxians sat in stunned silence. Their skin had turned a dull gray, a sign of deep distress in their species. "I do not understand," one said quietly. They smiled while planning harm. "How can a mind work this way?" Zixtar had no answer. The human ability to think one thing while saying another had seemed like an interesting difference. Now he understood it was something far more dangerous. It was a weapon his people had no defense against. In the command center, General Donovan reviewed the security feeds with satisfaction. 3 captured, 2 escaped. Begin analysis of the aliens' equipment immediately. Sir, a young officer reported, we're detecting a powerful transmission from their ship. They've called for help. Jack led Neveler through the dark forest paths outside Pine Ridge. The alien scientist was still weak from the drugs, her movements unsteady. Behind them, searchlights swept through the trees as military teams hunted for the escaped aliens. We need to find somewhere safe, Jack whispered. Somewhere they won't look for us. The other who escaped, Neveler said weakly, Science Officer Mel Tora. We must find her. Jack nodded. First light. Right now, we need shelter. They reached a small cabin nestled among tall pine trees. Jack knocked on the door, praying his old friend would help them. The door opened to reveal an older woman with silver hair. Her eyes widened at the sight of the 4-armed alien. Betty, Jack said quickly. I need your help. This is Neveler. She's in danger. Betty Clark had lived alone in these woods for 15 years since her husband died. She looked at the alien, then at the distant searchlights, and nodded. Inside. Quickly. Once inside the cabin, Betty helped Neveler to a couch. I'll make tea. It might help clear the drugs from her system. Jack watched through the window as military vehicles passed on the distant road. I still can't believe they did this. A peaceful diplomatic mission, and they turned it into a kidnapping. Betty returned with steaming cups. People fear what they don't understand, and governments want power. She handed a cup to Neveler, who took it with shaking hands. Your kindness, the alien said softly, her skin showing faint blue spots of gratitude. It exists alongside such cruelty in your species. How is this possible? In the morning, news of the alien threat spread across television and radio. Government reports claimed the Valaxians had planned to study humans for weaknesses before a larger invasion force arrived. Complete lies, Jack said angrily, turning off the radio. They're covering their tracks. The ship, Neveler said, now stronger after rest. My crew will have sent a distress call. More Valaxians will come. Is that good or bad for us? Betty asked. I do not know, Neveler admitted. Our people have never experienced betrayal before. Their reaction may be extreme. In the town, reporter Samantha Green was asking uncomfortable questions. As a journalist for a national news network, she had been invited to cover the cultural exchange. What she witnessed didn't match the official story. Dr. Hammond was arrested for trying to warn the aliens, she told her cameraman as they filmed secretly from their hotel room. That doesn't sound like we were stopping an invasion. Her phone rang. The caller's voice was hushed and urgent. This is Lisa Hammond. I've been released, but I'm being watched. Meet me at the diner in 20 minutes. There's something you need to know. Meanwhile, in a secure facility, General Donovan observed as scientists examined the captured Valaxians. Their physical response to lying is fascinating, said one researcher. When they detect deception, it causes actual neurological pain. It's like their brains can't process the concept. Can we use that? Donovan asked. Already are, sir. By telling them contradictory information, we can basically short-circuit their thought processes, makes them compliant. In another room, Commander Zixtor sat alone, his once vibrant skin now a dull gray. Every human interaction caused him pain as he sensed the gap between their thoughts and words. His species had evolved with absolute truthfulness. Their telepathic nature made lying impossible and pointless. He could not adapt to this new reality. Deep in the forest, Jack, Neveler, and Betty found the missing science officer Mel Tora hiding in a cave. The two aliens embraced, their skin momentarily brightening. A rescue fleet has been dispatched, Mel Tora told them. They will arrive in 7 days. Jack looked worried. What will they do when they get here? I do not know, Mel Tora replied. Our people have no protocol for this situation. They may consider all humans dangerous and act accordingly. Then we need to show them we're not all the same, Jack said. We need to prove that humanity's capacity for deception also enables our capacity for good. Nevler's skin shifted to a thoughtful purple. Perhaps that is why I find your species so fascinating. Your greatest flaw may also be your greatest strength. 5 days later, the first signs of the Vilaxian rescue fleet appeared in Earth's skies. 7 massive ships, each 10 times larger than the exploration vessel, took position in orbit. Their sudden arrival sent waves of panic across the planet. In the White House Situation Room, military leaders gathered around screens showing the alien ships. They're not responding to any communication attempts, an officer reported. General Donovan slammed his fist on the table. They want their people back. Which you kidnapped, Dr. Lisa Hammond said from the doorway. She had been brought in as a consultant despite her earlier detention. What did you expect would happen? The president looked grim. Options. We have 3 captured aliens, Donovan said. We use them as bargaining chips. Or, Lisa countered, we admit what happened, release them, and try to repair relations before this becomes a war we cannot win. In the forest cabin, Jack, Betty, and the 2 escaped Vilaxians watched news reports of the fleet's arrival on a small television. Your rescue is here, Jack said to Nevler. The alien scientist's skin showed patterns of worry. They will demand answers. When they learn what happened, they may decide all humans are a threat. We need to contact them, Jack said. Show them not all humans were part of the betrayal. Betty turned up the volume as breaking news came on screen. The government has declared a national emergency. Military forces are being mobilized around the country. Mel Torres' skin turned a deep red. Your leaders prepare for war. This is madness. Our ships could destroy your military from orbit. Jack stood up. We need to get to your ship. Can we signal the fleet from there? Yes, Nevler said. But the ship is heavily guarded now. I know someone who might help, Jack said, picking up Betty's phone. Across town, reporter Samantha Green was documenting everything. Her hidden cameras had captured military personnel mistreating the captured aliens. With Dr. Hammond's help, she had gathered evidence of the government's deception. We need to broadcast this, she told her producer over a secure line. People need to know what really happened. The network won't touch it, he replied. Government pressure. Then we find another way, Samantha said firmly. Her phone rang. It was Jack Russell. I need your help, he said. And I have 2 aliens who can tell you the real story. At a military research facility, General Donovan prepared a nuclear option. If they attack, we launch everything we have at their ships, he told his team. We may not win, but we'll make sure it costs them. A young officer looked troubled. Sir, is this really necessary? We fired the first shot here. They're aliens, son, Donovan replied coldly. Different biology, different psychology. We can't predict them, so we can't trust them. It's us or them. That night, Jack, Samantha, and the 2 Vilaxians approached the alien ship through underground maintenance tunnels that ran beneath the military cordon. These tunnels were built during the Cold War, Samantha explained. The town was once a military research site. They reached a point directly beneath the ship. Military vehicles and spotlights surrounded it above ground. Now what? Jack asked. Nevler removed a small device from her suit. Emergency beacon. It will signal the ship to create a temporary opening in its shield barrier. She activated the device. Seconds later, a soft humming came from above, and a circle of light appeared on the ceiling of the tunnel. Quickly, Mel Torres said. The group was lifted through the light into the ship. Vilaxian crew members rushed forward, their skin flashing with joy at seeing their missing comrades. We must contact the fleet commander, Nevler said urgently, before this situation escalates further. On the ship's bridge, Jack and Samantha watched in awe as the communication screen activated, showing the imposing figure of Fleet Commander Varzin. Report, Science officer, the commander said, his skin patterns formal and stern. Commander, Nevler responded, the situation is complex. Some humans betrayed us, but others helped us escape and survive. This division exists within their species. Varzin's 4 eyes narrowed. Our sensors detect nuclear weapons being prepared on the planet's surface. They intend violence. Some do. Jack stepped forward. Others want peace. Please, you need to understand, humans aren't all the same. Humans can lie, Varzin said coldly. How can we trust any human words? Because, Samantha said, holding up her camera, some of us risk everything to show the truth. The next morning, Samantha's footage spread across the world. Using independent networks and internet channels, she bypassed the government controls to show the truth. People everywhere watched as the real story unfolded. The peaceful contact, the military betrayal, and the aliens' confusion at human deception. In cities around the world, crowds gathered. Some protested against their governments. Others held signs welcoming the aliens. The reaction was as divided as humanity itself. It's working, Jack said, watching news feeds from the Vilaxian ship. People are seeing the truth. Nevler's skin showed cautious blue patterns. But your military still holds our people, and they prepare weapons. On the main Vilaxian vessel in orbit, Fleet Commander Varzin reviewed Samantha's footage. The images troubled him deeply. He saw both the cruelty of the betrayal and the courage of humans who helped his people. A divided species, he said to his advisors, some capable of great harm, others of great compassion. Our protocols are clear, said his second-in-command. Any species that presents a threat must be contained or avoided. But which part of humanity is the true representation? Varzin asked. The deceivers or the truth-tellers? In the White House, pressure mounted as public opinion turned against the government's actions. The president finally ordered the release of the captured Vilaxians. We made a mistake, he told his advisors. Now we need to fix it before this becomes a disaster. Dr. Lisa Hammond was chosen to escort Commander Zixtar and the other captured aliens to their ship. When they arrived, his condition shocked her. His skin was almost completely gray, and he moved slowly, as if in constant pain. The constant exposure to deception, he explained weakly. It damages our neural pathways. We cannot process it as you do. Lisa felt tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry for what we did to you. Inside the ship, the reunited Vilaxian team met with Jack, Samantha, and Lisa. Fleet Commander Varzin joined by holographic projection from orbit. We face an unprecedented situation, Varzin said. Your species presents both great danger and great potential. Your ability to deceive makes you unpredictable. Then let us show you who we really are, Lisa suggested. Not through words, which you cannot trust, but through direct experience. Meaning? Varzin asked. Your people are telepathic. You can sense surface thoughts. What if willing humans allowed you to experience our minds directly? To understand how our minds work, including our capacity for both truth and deception. The Vilaxians discussed among themselves, their skin showing patterns of uncertainty and curiosity. It would be unprecedented, Zixtar said, but perhaps necessary. Jack stepped forward. I volunteer. As do I, Samantha added. And I, said Lisa. Nevler prepared the procedure. This will be deeper than our normal telepathic sensing. You will need to open your mind completely. Jack sat in a chair as Nevler placed her 4 hands gently around his head. Both closed their eyes. For several minutes, there was silence. Then Nevler gasped, her skin flashing with rapid colors, shock, wonder, confusion, and finally, understanding. When she opened her eyes, they glistened with moisture, something no human had seen from a Vilaxian before. So much complexity, she whispered. You can imagine what is not real, and this gives you both the ability to deceive and the ability to create. Your art, your stories, they come from the same place as your lies. One by one, the willing humans shared their minds with the Vilaxians. Each time, the aliens emerged with new understanding. Commander Varzin witnessed the process remotely. "This changes our assessment," he finally said. "Humans are dangerous, yes, but they are also something we have never encountered before." "What will you tell the Council?" Zix Tar asked. "That we have discovered a species of paradoxes," Varzin replied, "capable of both terrible deception and profound truth. Their minds work differently than ours, but they are not simply a threat to be avoided." Outside the ship, military forces still stood ready, but around them gathered thousands of civilians, forming a human chain of protection around the alien vessel. General Donovan looked at the crowds with frustration. "They don't understand the risk these aliens pose." "Maybe they understand better than you," said a young soldier beside him. "Maybe being human means accepting both the good and bad in ourselves."